What's up, Magnetic Men Club? We are here with another live for you guys. Obviously, we do these lives every Friday, so make sure you guys show up, get your questions answered, and we're here to support you guys through whatever you need. Ask your questions. If you guys want to suggest some content, this is a perfect place to do it. Today, our topic is the epidemic of weak men in our society. So, one big thing is I've been reading a lot of these books, a lot of these masculine men books, and things like that, trying to dial in how we're going to break these down for everybody, how this stuff's going to work for us moving forward, and exactly what principles and concepts we really need to have as men through these books and understanding the research that other people have put into this. And one major theme that has stood out to me throughout all of this is the fact that we have an epidemic of weak men. Men are just getting weaker and weaker by the decade. And so, really, what does that mean? Really, men are just getting more and more docile. Men are just getting weaker as we go along. Society keeps pushing this narrative that men need to ignore their masculinity, be more accepting of feminine principles and things like that. And really, all it's done to society is just made us weaker and weaker and weaker as time goes on. And so that's one epidemic that we really want to tackle through our programs and stuff that we really want to put out information on so that we know how to tackle this ourselves. Because as men, we need to be on our path and our purpose. We need to be disciplined. We need to be mentally tough. We need to be able to face hard things. And these weak men just are not doing that. They just want to be comfortable. They want to sit in their basement and play video games. They want to sit around and jerk off. And that's one of these big things that's really making you weak. It's really causing you to ignore your masculinity. It's really causing you to be frustrated in your relationships. It's really causing you to not approach this stuff the right way and really be the leader who is charismatic and confident the way that you need to be and really truly embody those masculine men principles. And so obviously I'm Chase, hosting this with my good friend Jared here.
Hey guys, how you doing? Hope everyone's going to have an amazing weekend and everyone had a kick-ass week. But Chase nailed it. Him and I talk about this topic a lot, in the background and stuff. And this is why we wanted to talk about it, bring it up today. I actually have some videos coming out based around this that it's going to do a deeper dive in more of the whys. And we'll touch on the whys now, but stay tuned for the videos to do a little bit deeper dive on how mostly the Western state or the Western part of the world is really feeling the effects of this, where other parts of the world that have more dominating men who have stuck to traditional gender roles are not having this epidemic. They're not having nearly the amount of problems that the United States, the UK, Australia to some degree. They're not having these problems that we are. We call them first world problems, but these problems are going to sink the United States. Make no mistake about it. Weak men will drive this country into the fucking ground, and it's already happening. Look who we have as president. Look who we have as cabinet members. And whether you like Joe Biden or not, I don't care. But he's a very weak man. He's weak on policy. He's weak on everything. His whole demeanor is weak. So he brings in a cabinet full of weak people.
True.
We're only weakening this economy. And so when we talk about this generation or these newer generations of these kids, I would say 18 to 35, well, that's a majority of it. But it actually goes a lot further. Again, look at the leadership that we have. They're clearly over that age, and they're just weak-minded. They're tolerant of just about anything that's going to get them votes. They're tolerant and inclusive, and everything is just cool. And this is what happens. Look around you. Nothing's working right. The fucking tires are off the train. We're going in, and we didn't have this problem with the generation of men coming home from World War II, which I feel was the greatest generation.
Right.
It was the biggest impact to our economy. The economy was booming. Innovation happened. It only happened once they started turning out, getting older, that this started producing newer generations of weaker by the generation men until you see now these young men who's basically they're women. They're basically women.
More or less.
And it's not fine. It's not okay to have a whole generation of men who are so confused on what it, and not even confused, they're beaten down by teachers, society, that toxic masculinity, and which doesn't even make sense. Toxic and masculinity, those two words don't even make sense together. Now, I'll agree there are certain attributes of masculinity that could be toxic, but that's a very small subset of men, more of aggressive men. But as a whole, masculinity we need in our society. We need more of it in our society. And the less and less that we have of it, this is what you see. Look around you.
Right.
Men are having less sex now. Testosterone levels are down roughly 28% since 1970. Suicide rate for men are around 80% of all suicides are men. And that is really between 18 and about 25. 90% of those suicides are in that age group. And we can go on, but at the end of the day, a lot of it has to do with maybe not a strong father in the house. Of course, you can blame divorce rates, but the father in the house might have been absent or he's feminized. And so you have another feminized guy trying to teach another man, well, it's going to be feminized. So you get all of this generation of men now being raised by women. 90% of all school teachers are women. You know, if you have sisters, you have aunts. Now, all of these play a role in a man's psyche. And I was raised by my mom. Okay, I was raised largely by my mother, but I did have my grandfather, and he was, all intents and purposes, a very masculine man, but in a different way. He wasn't this. That's not even a masculine man. That's a fake alpha. That's a fake man. The guys who are overly chauvinistic, overly energized, they're all fake. They're all cowards. They're just pretending. But what today we want to talk about is what true masculinity is. And again, it doesn't necessarily matter how you got to where you are. If you're a man 18 to 35, that's pretty much the demographics at what we reach the most at. And any of this resonates with you. And you can honestly say, you're not lying to me. If you're lying to yourself in any of these questions that come up, you can honestly look at yourself and say, no, I fit this definition. I might be a little bit out of the mold, but for the most part, my life's in order. Great. 98% of you, it's not that. It's just not that.
It's true.
And so it is every man's, my opinion, every man's masculine imperative, kill every bit of weakness out of him. Weakness in your mind, weakness in your body, weakness in your thoughts, weakness in that loser mentality that we generally make excuses of why we're not where we are in life. You make an excuse. It's in your best interest. It's in maybe your wife's, your girlfriend's, or if you're trying to get one of those, it's in everybody's best interest and society's best interest to level yourself up, to be the dominant masculine man that you were born to be. And so that's what we're going to talk to you about today, and how this society specifically, we're going to use the Western society. This does not happen in China. This does not happen in Russia. I promise you. The better times a country is in, the weaker the men get.
It's true. That's the biggest thing too, is what they say. I mean, I've seen my meme rolling around through a lot of these masculine groups, just saying, like, obviously, strong men create good times create weak men create tough times. Basically, That's really what we're happening. Like right now, we're moving into tough times, and we
Yep.
can see it in the economy. We can see it in all the stuff that's happening. And obviously with this administration, the way things are going, like things aren't great, right? The stock market isn't as good as it was a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And businesses aren't as well off as they were a couple of years ago. Investing is down, housing market's going down. You can see all this stuff happening right now. What happens when that stuff happens? Like it's creating hard times. It's creating really tough times from weak men. And one of the running themes that I found in Richard Cooper's book and The Unplugged Alpha, in the beginning of that book, he talks about how frustrated he was, and he didn't have any direction and nowhere to go in life. You know, he had just stepped out of a business, and he really felt like he wanted to drive his car into a median and just end it. Yeah. And so Robert Glover said the same thing in his book, No More Mr. Nice Guy. Like he really just didn't know what to do, and he wanted to kill himself. And so obviously this is stuff that is critical for us as men. Like we see so many men, we see the suicide epidemic in men going way, way up, testosterone going way, way down, just like Jared said. And so that's one big thing that you have to consider. Like if you're feeling frustrated, you're feeling stuck, you're feeling like you can't really step up for your values and your purpose, you feel like you have to give up everything just to be with the woman that you're with, or just to maintain that relationship. Like a lot of these men feel like they can't step on anybody's toes. Like they shouldn't go against the mold and that kind of stuff too. And they've been conditioned to think that. They've been conditioned to value feminine values and to think that masculinity is toxic. And really, it's not toxic. That's just an absurd term, right? Toxic masculinity. There's toxic people. Women can be just as toxic as men. There's toxic traits that a lot of these guys can embody when they're trying to put on that facade, just like Jared said. And really what happens is, you know, they're chauvinistic, they're narcissistic, and obviously that's stuff that isn't unique to men. That's stuff that women embody too. There's toxic people that embody toxic traits. It has nothing to do with masculinity.
Exactly. And I actually want to replace the toxic for both ones. We're going to use divine masculinity and divine femininity, because those two are spelled out quite clearly in the Bible. I'm not going to be a Bible thumper here, but you know, this is spelled out. There is a structure, there is an order, what men are supposed to do, what they bring to the table, and what women are supposed to do, what they bring to the table. So this has been around for thousands of years. It's only new. I would say within the last 50 years or so, this new idea of we got to change the whole damn system because it's wrong, or it's, you know, all of this, we can do it better. Well, it's worked for so long this way, and society has developed in such a way, having this type of masculinity, this type of man out there. Now we're changing it, and you're starting to see the results of it. So there's 5 pillars. I think kind of dissect this through, but most people would say the 5 pillars of masculinity would be strength, both physical and emotional. And then you have assertiveness, independence, courage or confidence, if you want to use that, and then leadership. And in each of those, there's of course different subsects that come out of that, but the biggest one is just having strength. I think that is, I list that as the core of what masculinity is. And when I say strength, I'm not saying Arnold Schwarzenegger or you got to be like, you know, these massive guys. But you want to be as strong as you physically can. You want to be active. You want to get into the gym. You want to move your body. You want to twist. You want to be able to use your body in such a way that it's a tool. Your body is a tool. Sitting there for 3 hours playing goddamn Call of Duty or Fortnite, all you're doing is exercising your thumbs. That's all you're doing. You're not using your body the way it's intended to. So you got to get physically strength. If you're an overweight guy, if you're a guy who's just not into the gym and you have this thought of maybe you're depressed, well, here's why. Your testosterone's low, which is a direct correlation between low testosterone and high depression. The more you get into the gym, you sweat, you work out, your testosterone will naturally raise. You'll start feeling more confident, which is another pillar that we can talk about, but you'll start feeling the way you're supposed to. You'll be starting to feel like a man. But more important like that, and Chase will jump in after this, is mental strength. Not being one of these whiny, complaining guys of why their life sucks, why women don't date them, why they don't have the job that they do, why they don't make the money they do. They're having this emotional meltdown. They're basically vomiting out like women. And we've done videos on this before about having mental toughness, and this directly ties into it. One word, Chase, take it away, discipline.
So that's the big thing, is we made a video a couple weeks ago on mental toughness and like what the Spartan kids went through with the Agoge, right? And really, the biggest thing with that was the fact that, like, that's what they were trying to breed out of them, was the fact that, like, we don't want you guys to sit and be comfortable, right? We don't want you to avoid weakness, because what would happen if those men were out of war and they're trying to protect their homeland, they're trying to protect their families? What would happen if they decided, oh, you know, it's too cold, I can't battle today because I'm too cold, right? What would happen to men at war if they decided that, oh, you know, I can't protect my homeland today because I'm just not feeling up to it, man. I'm just not feeling it. We can't do that as men. Like, we really don't have that luxury, because it just makes us weak. It breeds weakness within us. And the biggest thing is it causes men to avoid tough situations. And so really, we've got to be mentally tough. We've got to have mental discipline. We've got to be able to tell ourselves that, you know, I shouldn't sit around and play video games for 4 freaking hours in a day. I shouldn't just sit around and masturbate all day. A lot of these men are masturbating, you know, 3 to 6 times a day, especially the younger that you are. And it's causing your testosterone levels to plummet. The fact that people go to the gym and then the next day they're so sore and weak and they're not feeling it, and then they have to go to the gym again that day, and they're sitting there trying to talk themselves out of it. And so that's one of the biggest things when it comes to discipline, is like, you have to do things even when you don't feel like doing it, if you want to maintain your life, and if you really want the life that you want, right? If you really want to achieve your goals and you want to have those systems in your life that are really going to carry you forward, because obviously you have to go to the gym. Obviously there's things that you have to do that you don't want to do all the time. And you have to do them anyway. And so it's really making sure that you it's the weak part of your brain, right? It's your subconscious sitting here saying, oh, well, you know, you struggled really hard at the gym yesterday. You worked really hard. And now, you know, you can rest today. It's okay. It's your brain trying to talk you out of what you really want in life. And it's really you not standing up for the virtues and values that you have at your core. Because you have to stand up for those virtues and those values, because people are going to attack them from every direction. Society is going to attack those values. The government's going to attack those values. Feminists and women and all that stuff, they're going to attack those values. Women are going to test you just to see if you'll step up and be a man. And a lot of the time, too, like, men don't want to step on their toes. They go, oh, well, you know, maybe I just need to, you know, let her have this one. No, you need to step up for your values. That's really what she wants from you. And if you don't display that, she doesn't feel safe with you. She doesn't feel secure with you. She's not going to be attracted to you. We call them shit tests on this end, right? That's just the way to speak about it. But they're going to test you, and they're going to see if you'll step up for yourself, and you'll stand up for yourself, and you'll stand up for your values. Because if you can't stand up to her, you can't stand up to anybody. And she's not going to feel safe and secure with you, and she's not going to be attracted to you. So that's one big thing when it comes to relationships. But at the same time, you can't just lay over and be comfortable. Comfort is your enemy when it comes to this stuff. Comfort really is not there to help you. Like, it's okay to take a break from time to time. Sure, I'm not saying that you got to be always on and you got to, you know, take the David Goggins approach to this stuff, which, I mean, it would help you. You've got to take ownership. And if you really want to achieve the things that you want in life, you've got to be able to stand up for your boundaries and your values and what you truly want out of life. You can't be not going out with these friends because she doesn't like them. You can't be not going on these trips because that's part of your hobbies, whatever, right? Go work on your car, go fishing, all that stuff. She's going to try to get you to stop doing that stuff. Society's going to try to get you to stop doing that stuff, but you got to stand up for it and do it anyway. And you've got to be able to, you know, what the Robert Bly talks about in Iron John, you got to show the sword from time to time. That doesn't mean that we need to fight. It just means that, you know, I'm going to do this. This is what it is, whether you like it or not. Accept it or leave it, whatever. That's really what she wants you to do. You're not stepping on her toes. You're not just being the nice guy and laying over and just letting it happen to you. Because like I said, she feels like if you can't stand up for yourself, then you can't stand up for her. You can't stand up for your family. You can't stand up for society. You're just a weak man. And that's really what we're displaying here when we don't display that mental toughness, when we don't display our values and our virtues and stand up for that stuff, stand up for ourselves, and hold that masculine frame. That's part of masculinity.
Yeah. Yeah. And you touched on that a lot. Number 2 is assertiveness, is having that ability to assert yourself in situations, having that ability to have an opinion and stand on that opinion, having that ability to take charge when necessary. This is one of the things that is lacking in every new generation that's coming up. This lack of assertiveness. They're not typically go-getters. They're not the ones who are just out there. They want to dominate the world and be the best versions of themselves. They're content with their lot in life, and a lot of that has to do with this comfort that they've built around them, this bubble wrap of comfort that they built around them. And a lot of people have talked about, again, this coming up in the last, say, 30 years is the advent of the internet, where you have social media, you have porn, and you have video games. And so these 3 things are, for this younger generation, and even to a degree my generation, these 3 things are zapping masculinity at its core. These 3 things are the downfall of what masculinity is. So how easy is it social media really is just soft porn these days anyway. Go on Instagram, go into the explore section. It's just
dopamine hits.
It's just women and their freaking tits out, and they're offering nothing to the world other than their pretty face. That's all they're offering. And the same token, men are doing the same thing. These handsome men, all jacked up, 5,000 hits. It's like they're not offering anything. But what it's doing is young, impressionable men going on social media are always seeing these gorgeous women. They're always seeing this perceived false narrative that these men are better than them. They're looking like, oh, this guy's gorgeous. He must get all these women. Well, it's fucking their mind every time, because that guy is not better than you. You're just sucking at life. You're not doing the things that guy may have had to do to be the cover of that, whatever, to be that model, to have that kind of body. He's doing the work. He's asserting himself. He wants something out of life. So yes, by definition, he is better than you in that sense, but he's not a better than you, meaning you can't do it. And so social media has created this wonderland, this fake bullshit that's out there. All the filters, it's all fake, but people believe it. They live in it hours a day, scrolling, and they're, look at our
against them. Like,
look at our own analytics. Our shorts do so much better than our long form. Why? Because people have an attention span these days of fucking squirrels. 15 seconds, 30 seconds, 60 seconds is like top. And so social media has become this easy way to escape into this fake world that you've sort of created, while everything around you is telling you that they're better than you. And so why would you even try? Porn's the same way. This is why young men are not having sex as much as they used to, because that would actually require you to go talk to a girl, whether it's dating apps, meeting them in public, whatever, get shot down a lot. Believe me, over the years, I've gotten shot down way more than I've gotten hits or lucky. But this requires work. This requires, again, assertiveness. This requires you to put yourself out there. It requires nothing to go on porn, find whatever weird shit you want, and spank it and get a release. And
how much time is that wasting, though? That's the thing, too. It's like these guys waste hours scrolling through all these porn threads, going through it, like commenting and like doing whatever. And at the same time, after they jerk off, like, dude, like, you're not motivated after you jerk off. You're not feeling like you want to go out there and tackle the world, go to the gym, achieve your goals after
Yeah.
you jerk off. You're just completely docile. You've just completely given up. Yeah, go play some video games and eat some junk food and get some more of those dopamine hits from that social media. So that's the big thing too, is when you jump into these comment sections of these Instagram models out there, of these Snapchat models and all the stuff that you see on Reddit, like a lot of these girls are out there just trying to push their OnlyFans account. Why?
Right.
Because there's men in their inbox, there's men in their comment section in here saying, oh, you know, you're so beautiful, you're so pretty. They're trying to be overly nice to this girl, so give them time to pay because they think that's what she wants, and that's not what she wants. She's never going to be with any of those men. All she's going to do with those men, as soon as they jump into her inbox and say, oh, well, here's my OnlyFans link, it's $5 today, because she knows that they're going to go pay for it, and that's why she's making $100,000 a month showing her tits, and that's really contributing to this stuff.
Yeah. And you know, you hit it on the head. So, you know, you have the social media, you have the porn aspect, and then the other one, which I've never played video games. Even, I mean, I'm older, so I remember Atari. I mean, I remember just the basic shit, and then going to the arcades and playing Pac-Man and all this. But nowadays, you mean to tell me a grown man can create an avatar of his ideal warrior, tall, muscular, can fire off any gun, can strip a gun, put it back together. As he goes through these different levels, he gets different things, whatever it is. He's living through a video game. Why can't you do that to yourself? Why can't you be that own avatar?
Right.
It makes no sense to me. Oh man, I'm at level 200 or whatever the fuck these games are called. 3 hours a day. Some people all day, that's all they do. And then you hear the stories, oh, well, this one guy makes $3 million a year. Well, that's a very small percentage. It's one guy out of 30 million of you guys doing this, wanking off to yourselves.
Truth.
Video games are just another escape. And I think it's far worse than porn and social media, because you're literally a man who's creating and fighting an avatar of somebody you wish you could be. And you know what? You can be it. Now, I'm not saying you can go be, you know, Green Beret or a SEAL. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying you can take the same attributes of the guy that you just created and become that guy. And all it takes is discipline, being assertive, having a little bit of physical strength, having that emotional compass, having all that. But how easy is it? Because we live in this comfortable world. How easy is it to sit there with your cock out, watch porn, jerk it off, go back to Call of Duty, scroll social media, and then complain about your life? This is where we're at right now. This is where we're at. And this is why men and women, but why men are so confused over their sexual identity. They're dressing up as women now. They're just creating whatever they can to get attention, to be different, to be special. You want to be special? Become masculine, because it's such a dying breed. When people see me walking into a store, I've had people say, wow, like, you know, my shoulders are back, I'm confident. Shit happens in the store. They know, like, this dude's got it. Other people going in, their heads are down. They don't look around. They don't have situational awareness. They want to get in and out. They want to get in and get out. They do not want to deal with public. And you can see it on their face. Most, and I hate to say this because I love everybody who watches this and goes on the shows, but I don't give a shit about likes on my YouTube page. I don't give a shit about subscribers. Yes, I care about business, but I care about the people that want help. I care about the people that are pissed off, because if you're pissed off about this, that means you have the energy and the fortitude to change that pissivity, that anger, and channel into something positive, getting into the gym, understanding that in order to get anything out of this life, you have to assert yourself into it. It doesn't mean you're going to win, but you don't quit. You find another way to get what you want.
Well, society's playing on this stuff too. Like, these video game developers know what you really want. They know what you really want to achieve. They know how to feed you those dopamine hits little by little. They know how to build out the mechanics in that game to keep you coming back. I mean, why do you think Candy Crush is so popular? Why do you think it makes so much money? Why do you think Fortnite continues to make so much money? Why do you think Grand Theft Auto hasn't come out with a new game in over 10 years?
Right.
They know how to play on your emotions. They know how to play on your dopamine. They know just what to do to keep you coming back and spending that money. And that's all they care about. They don't care about you. They don't care about what you achieve. These porn sites don't care about what you achieve. They just get your money. That's what they're all about. They just want to put those advertisements up. They want to make their $5 from their OnlyFans account. And they don't care about you outside of that. And so they know how to dopamine. That's what social media is all about. And all it's doing is wasting your time. All it's doing is wasting your energy. You think you're going to be motivated one day sitting there jerking off and playing those video games? Like, you think you're just going to build some motivation in yourself naturally, and like you're just going to be like, oh, I'm going to go out and conquer the world. I know exactly what I want. No, it's just going to keep wasting your time. I'll bet you that if you're sitting there jerking off and playing video games now, you were probably doing that a year ago. You were probably doing that a year before that. You were probably doing that a year before that even. You're probably doing that now. And so that's really what it is. And it's not to call anybody out on this stuff. It's just that's naturally what a lot of these men are doing, and especially the younger they are. The older men are extremely frustrated in their relationships. They don't even know what to do in their relationships. They don't know how to cultivate a good relationship. They're completely unsatisfied. Their women are cheating on them. They don't know how to make them interested in them. They don't want to go talk to them because of the fear of rejection. And so they just put themselves in this little box and play their video games where they can feel happy and where they can feel accomplished, because that's the only thing that they can get out of this. That's the only place where they can really get those feelings from. But you have to understand that life is a game. Life is a game that you can win. Life is a game that you can dominate. And you can really be good at this stuff. And I can tell you right now that you're not going to want to sit around and play those video games. You're not going to want to sit around and watch porn sites all day. You know why? Because that's going to get you off your path and your purpose. That's really what's going to take you away from what you really want. And once you get on the other side of that and you start taking action, that's where motivation comes from. You're not going to sit around and jerk off and play video games and be motivated. You're never going to feel that motivation. So I promise you, if you're sitting around waiting for that motivation to come, waiting for those ideas to spark, that stuff comes from taking action. That stuff comes from being mentally disciplined and actually telling your brain to shut the hell up. Quit telling me these things. Quit trying to talk me out of this. Quit trying to tell me that, oh, I need to go. Because your brain's like it's an addict, man. It just wants that dopamine. So it's like, oh, pick up the phone. You'll find that you're sitting there probably watching this right now, and you probably want to pick up your phone. You probably picked up your phone 10 times since you started watching this video. And so that's the biggest thing, is understanding that your brain is an addict and you've got to put it in its place. You've got to take charge consciously. And being conscious with this stuff is the key, because you have to consciously say that, I really don't want to be doing this anymore. This is really wasting my time. And I really want to overcome this. I want to turn my own life into a game, because when you achieve things in life, when you achieve things in that game, you become rich. You get what you really want. You get into fulfilling relationships. You have friendships that really carry you forward. And then that phobia of wanting to go talk to people disappears.
Right.
Then you start to become more confident in yourself. You start to become more charismatic, and people look up to you and respect you. Do you know anybody like that in your life, where they walk into a room and they command immediate respect? They have automatic charisma. Everybody's eating out of the palm of their hands. Don't you want to be that kind of a person? And do you really think that you can achieve that kind of a character in life, sitting around playing video games, wasting all your time, letting people walk all over you, and just being a doormat for society?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's the more coaching I do, getting into more of the younger people, but just out there talking to even my own son. He's 19. I love him. He's got a different mindset than me. Thank God that I was always present in his life. I'm very, my daughter, my son. I don't know how many know this, but about 8 years ago, my ex-wife, their mother passed away, and so it created this void for them on the feminine energy that she provided.
Right.
And then, overnight that went away. And so for the last 8 years, that's been lacking to some degree. But the masculine side you can see in both of my kids. Now, for my daughter, it might be more of a bad thing because now when she dates a guy, he's got to be at or more masculine than myself because she's just turned off. She's
got the
tried this.
expectation.
She's like, Dad, this dude is like a girl. I'm like, I know, but you got to, and she's working on this with another female in therapy where she's got to throttle back a little bit of her masculinity only because this is what she knows. This is how I raise them. Right, wrong, or indifference. I raise them how I know.
Well, that's another issue too, actually. A large part of that too, with women stepping up and stepping into their masculine. Mm-hmm. When a man doesn't step up above the woman, they feel obligated to step up because they don't feel safe with you. And so that's one of the big things. It's like, obviously, men and like divine feminine energy and divine masculine energy are very important things on both sides. The feminine movement versus the masculine movement are completely different movements, but they're both important because of this stuff. Because like I said, I mean, women feel obligated to step up above the men. And obviously women who have been in their masculine for a long time and have those high expectations for what a masculine man is, obviously women with very masculine parents are going to feel that. They're going to weigh everybody to those things. Right. And if somebody doesn't step up to those levels, then they're going to feel like they have to.
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely. And just to kind of pair it on that, this is why a lot of marriages tend to fail because the roles get reversed, where in the beginning, the guy was on his path and purpose, or at least she saw potential in him where he had goals, he had dreams, he had aspirations, and maybe they were a little bit younger in college, and I'm going to one day be a CEO, or I'm going to do this. Life comes, kids come, I get it, all that. And now he's overweight, talking about the good old days of high school and college and blaming her for his failures. And so what is her choice? Her choice is, well, I got to have the dick in the relationship now. I got to take on this role because I have kids. We got bills to pay. And so the roles, literally, you can watch them. I've seen it. They completely shift. And then she loses all respect. Once a woman is done, not even love, it's respect. Once a woman does not respect her man, she completely dries up for sex, does not want sex with this man at all. And if you don't have respect, you don't have love by default. She might love him for being the father of the kids. She might love him because he is a good dad, but does not in love with him. And a lot of this falls on that masculine, divine masculine imperative, being the leader, which is the fifth pillar we skipped to, but we'll talk about leadership, of being that leader. You know, it's pretty clear in the Bible. There's Jesus, man, wife. It's written there for a reason. God's design, God's purpose. And again, this doesn't have a lot to do with just being in the Bible. This is my belief. This is how I view things. And
yes,
the man is a head of the household. Christ is the head of the church. Your job is to bring her to Christ. That's your role. You lead the relationship. You lead the tempo, the direction, all of that. And if you're not leading, then you're following. Now, I'm going to back up because there is a time for that masculine energy to be a good follower. Now, I'll give you an example of this. As you know, you and I involved in two different companies that you own part of one and my other one.
Right.
And I also have ownership in an iSmash brand. Now, Steve is my partner in that. I let him lead because he's more experienced in operating, running that type of business. So it's not always being the leader that I have to lead because my inexperience or lack of would run the business into the ground. So you have to understand that it's not just always being a leader. Chase is another example. He runs all of the tech side, all of these funnels, all of the website stuff. I don't know any of that shit. He's the leader in that. He goes, listen, we need to do this. We need to do that because of this. Okay, cool. I don't know. but it's also part of having that, checking your ego, leaving the ego to the side and like, what's
Right.
best for the whole. And so a lot of men they'll lead with ego and emotion, and they think they know the best direction, but they don't. And so that gets them into trouble. They think they're leading. Well, all they're really doing is kind of going this way and going that way. They don't have a clear path.
That's an important point too. The leading with emotion. They're letting their emotions get the best of them. They're letting their emotions dictate their attitude towards everything. They're letting their emotions run the show, and they're not logically thinking about these things.
Now, this is a good parody, because this is where the divine feminine and the divine masculine, where they actually meet. My grandfather, 2 Purple Hearts, he got shot twice, lived, of course, lived a beautiful life, had 6 grandchildren, or 6 kids, 39 grandchildren, or something between them all.
Wow.
Okay? He was the leader of the house in the sense of he had a business. Lil, my grandmother, was the helper in the sense of she would schedule the calls, make sure the money came in, all this. She was the leader in raising the kids, and he was the follower. This is where they met, and he left his ego. It says, well, she knows how to raise the kids. I'm working all day. What does she need so I can help fulfill this or help her? So it's not always about being the leader. You have to check that emotion and understand, okay, is my girlfriend better at what we're about to do than I am? You know what? Maybe I'll let her, because we're kind of getting into this together, maybe I'll let her kind of spear this. Check your ego. Just check it and understand that you guys, if you're growing together. But there's women are very good at some things, men are very good at others. So it's just getting that ego out, understanding emotion, which we'll talk a little bit more about, because most men today are so emotional. It's fucking pathetic. But leadership is one of those. It's number 5 I put down. But once you're a good leader, once you're assertive, once you understand that, you have confidence. And confidence should probably be number 1, but it's just another pillar of masculinity. It's having that belief in yourself that you can, positive or negative, doesn't matter what happens to you, you're going to be okay. You're going to get through it, around it, under it, over it. You have the confidence that you can handle this. Most of the young people in this generation, you can see it when you talk to them. They look down. They don't have an answer. You ask them, what do they even kind of have an idea what they want to do with their life? They're completely feathers floating in the wind. They have no direction. They have no compass. They're just living for the moment. They're like, I don't know. Take it as we go. No, it's the wrong freaking attitude to have. You need to have a general direction and go that way. You can change direction if you realize that's not the path, but you have to choose a path and start going down it. You can't sit still. You can't just sit in your underwear, play video games, jerk off, scroll on social media, because those days will turn into months, those months will turn into years, those years will turn into decades, and you'll be a 40, 50, 60-year-old single man whose life completely passed by them. And that's
motivation. That's the thing, is it completely takes away your motivation. Like you won't have any motivation to do anything. You'll just keep doing that stuff. You'll just keep going back to it. And these people know this too. The social media companies, they know this. Your video game developers, they know this stuff. The porn
social
companies,
media,
they know this stuff.
They know the algorithm works. That's why they keep creating apps with the same algorithm. They know it works. So just keep hitting them a dopamine, hit them a dopamine, hit them a dopamine. They'll always come back. It doesn't matter how shitty the app is. As long as the algorithm is in place, I can put anything in front of it and it'll work. So
that's the big thing too, is with men and like boys and stuff growing up these days. is they let their emotions lead.
Yeah.
And what they don't understand is when you're letting your emotions lead you, you have no ability to lead. It completely neuters your ability to lead anyone, least of all yourself, because you're letting your emotions run the show. And I'm not saying like you should ignore your emotions. Like obviously emotions are important. They're things that you really should pay attention to, but it's just feedback. And so you have to be able to take that feedback and understand why that stuff is happening, understand why you're feeling that way, and stop spewing it out your mouth at everybody in every single direction. Like your emotions are your own. Keep it to yourself. It's just feedback.
Yeah.
I'm not saying to suppress it or anything. I'm just saying save it for the right situations. This is why you need a brotherhood of men around you, why you need a group of men around you that you can confide in, that you trust. That's really what we're trying to create with this Magnetic Men Club too, is a group where you can feel safe to talk about these, to have these conversations. Because like I said, there's no good in suppressing it, but don't let it run the show.
Right.
And don't spew it on everybody around you, and don't feel like it matters more than it does, because it just gets you off your path and your purpose. It makes you want to create an escape for yourself and these other things that we've been talking about. And that's one of the big issues is, like I said, it just completely neuters your ability to lead. Do you really think a CEO or a president or somebody who's in charge of a lot of people, a lot of things, can really bring their emotions into it? It's not going to work for them. They're not going to be able to lead people. People won't trust them. That's one of the biggest things, is you won't have that trust if people feel like you're always ran by your emotions.
Right. No, that's one of the biggest ones you see, and that's kind of goes into having that emotional center through physicality, being physically strong and then being mentally strong. If you're mentally strong and you've done the work, you've been through challenges, you've been through hard times, you realize those times did not kill you, they made you stronger. You'll start developing this part of you where you don't feel the need to emote and vomit out useless shit that only makes you look weak. I see it all. There's this one guy on Facebook. I actually messaged him. I'm like, dude, if I didn't see a picture of you, I'd swear you're a girl. I said, not throwing shade, but everything you talk about is a woman. And what are you talking about? I sent him to the website. I'm like, just go look at my blogs, man. Like, none of this is helping you. None of this. And you can see it. So if you're an emotional wreck, you're probably physically, mentally not there. You might be Arnold. Again, you might be Arnold Schwarzenegger, but if you don't have a strong mental mind, none of that shit matters. You know? And then the other one that I see a lot, which goes to that fifth pillar, because I just want to give the audience, before we run out of time, what the last one is. We skipped it, but it's independence. More men these days are living longer at home or leaving for college and then living back home and basically never leaving until they either get married or have an LTR or some point where they live. They're staying at home. You need to clip those wings, because if mommy is washing your underwear and you're a 19-year-old, you're freaking weak. You need to be washing your own clothes. You need to be learning how to cook. You need to be learning how to clean. You need to be learning all this. A lot of people say, oh, that's women's stuff. No. You need to be able to do these things. It's great if you have somebody in your life, like a woman, who loves doing those for you. But until you get to that point, don't you think you should learn how to do this? Learn how to fix your own stuff. Even if you don't know how to fix something, I always tell people, there's Google, there's YouTube. It'll show you how to fix a light switch. It'll show you. You can't F it up. And even if you do, it's already broke. Then call somebody. Learning independence. This younger generation, once something goes wrong in their car, they fly off the handle like little girls. Oh my God, what should I do? Dude, it's a flat tire. Go change the tire. I don't know how to. I got to call AAA. So you're going to have another man. You're telling me because it's not going to be a woman generally showing up. You're going to have another man drive to your car, fix your tire. How much of bitch shit is that?
Well, that's the thing too, is if you know how to fix these things, you're going to feel empowered. Women are going to respect you more. They're going to trust you more. They're going to feel like you can hold your frame more and like you can really protect the family, the society, everything in your life. So that's the thing too, is it leads to a lot of these feelings too. Like, I mean, men have been getting weaker since the start of the industrial age. They just have, because things have gotten easier, and they've just continued to get easier and easier and easier, and they keep taking things off our plate. So one big thing too is like men can't connect with their sons anymore in a big way. And that's why we see this absence of father figures around. Like a lot of them are out there working these corporate jobs. They're working on a computer all day. But back in the day, like they worked on farms. They were doing coal mining jobs, right? They were able to take their kids into the coal mine and show them what they do. They were able to take their kids out on the tractor and show them what they do all day and give them a big picture of what they were doing. So the kids had a stronger connection with those men. And nowadays, you can't really do that. Like the jobs that we have nowadays, like, are you going to go take little Jimmy to the retail store to show him how you sell the sneakers? Like, I mean, what are you going to do? And so that's the biggest thing, is that we've kind of severed these connections. So you have to find other ways to connect with other men. If you're younger and you want to connect with your fathers, or you want to connect with older men, then you should go connect with older men. Have them show you how to fix the radiator. Have them show you how to fix your tire. Have them show you how to fix basic electrical nodes in your house, right? Have them show you how to do basic farming and that kind of stuff too. At the same time, if you are an older man and you have some of these skills, like you know how to fish, invite some younger men around you out to go fishing. It would mean the world to them, and it would foster that connection that we're missing in society today that is creating these weak men.
Yeah. No, 100%. That's, my son, again, we'll go back to him because he knows how to do a lot of that stuff. And not just being misogynist, I made my daughter learn how to do exactly the same stuff he knows how to do. She knows how to change out an outlet, the basics, of course. I mean, she's actually helped me wire a whole house, but I mean, she knows the basics. But maybe I'm a little bit more old school than a traditional, or what we call traditional men now. But I've always came from that belief is show one, do one, teach one. So that military mindset. I learned how to do it. Somebody showed me how to do it, learned how to do it. I teach how to do it. And so even if you are a guy on corporate America and you really can't show your son, hey, I do investment banking, great. It's not going to resonate with him. But if you do know how to fix stuff, or you do have a certain skill set, maybe you're great in martial arts and your son hasn't gotten into it. These are the times where boys need their fathers. Bring him with you. Or maybe you're into rental properties and you really haven't shown your kids what that's all about. Bring them with you. It's not the fact, I think, for kids, it's just spending that time with them and just making that effort that they know, like, all right, dad isn't this traditional alpha guy, but he's really alpha when it comes to this. And he took the time to explain whatever this is. He's fostering it, and it's something that you guys can do together. And so don't think for a second what you do for work defines who you are as a father, because I do get a lot of guys saying, well, not much I can teach my kid. I'm like, dude, you're an amazing guy. Yeah, you do a weird job that I don't. You're smart as shit. Like, I don't get that. Your kid's not going to get it either. But you know what? You just told me you've been boxing for 12 years and you haven't brought your kid. Why don't you bring him in with you and start showing him the basics? Dude, a light went off in his head like he found Jesus. He had never registered to do that. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do that. I swear it did not register to him that he could offer that to his kid. I'm like, dude, yes, every boy needs to learn to take a punch and give one. Doesn't mean they need to fight, just means you need to defend yourself.
Yeah.
So even if you're a man watching this and you're not this traditional, what we call masculine guy, in none of this video, we portrayed a certain type of guy. We portrayed attributes of what masculinity is. Right. That's all we did. I didn't say this guy is masculine and this person isn't. But everybody has something that they're good at, a trait, a skill as a man that you need to pass on to your sons and daughters if you have them, but this is the men's channel. And that skill really is your time. It's your effort. It's your love. That's what they really care about the most. They're going to look back in 30 or 40 years and be like, you know what? I never really liked boxing with my dad, but I do remember the memories that we had and that he took the time because he loved it so much. I now love it.
Right.
And this is what's missing. A lot of guys just kind of trail off from their kids. And again, that could be through divorce and the wife has got this weird custody shit. We're not talking about any of that. Is they tend to just let their sons run on autopilot because they're too scared maybe, or they don't have this manual on how do I take my son, my baby boy, to be a man? Because no one showed me. Well, fuck, nobody showed me. Nobody showed you, but you figure it out. And you can figure out these steps together. Show him what you know. Tell him about your mistakes. Tell him, son, I made these mistakes. They want to know who you are.
Right.
That's what makes masculinity so important. They just want to be able to connect. And if you're a little bit emotional and you're crying like a little girl, hey, at least you're opening up to your boy. I make fun of that because I'm just not an emotional person. My emotional center, to me, my emotions have zero to do with anything. They just don't. But I am checked out a little bit on that. But this is what your kids want. They just want the effort. They want to know that they're loved. They want to know that anything goes wrong in their life, whether they're 5 or 50, dad's got their back. That's masculinity. Dad will do anything he can for his own. That's masculinity.
Exactly. See, for me, like it was different for me. Like I obviously had grandfathers and uncles in my life that really helped step up because like my dad obviously left before I was born. I was raised by a fairly masculine mother. Like she was pretty independent and it was what it was. But at the end of the day, like I took the time every single year to go fishing with one of my uncles. Like every single year before school would start, we would go up to this lake called Strawberry up in Utah, and he would take me fishing on his boat, and we would be in the cabin and stuff. It was just me and him. We would cook up beans on the stove, and it was cool. And it was like it was one of the most masculine experiences I had growing up. And even my grandfather, my mom's dad, he taught me a lot about tiling and about drywall and fixing these basic things and electricals. Like that was the biggest thing too. I remember we would move into houses, and like he always told the landlord, like, dude, I'm a handyman. I can fix this stuff. And so I would sit there with him and help him fix these things. And that's how I learned how to do drywall. That's how I learned how to do electrical. That's how I learned how to tile. And I had even my wife's grandfather, he taught me how to change a tire. He taught me how to change brakes and stuff on our car. And like, that's stuff that I genuinely took an interest in learning because I knew they would be valuable skills at some point. It's not stuff that I do nowadays. Like nowadays, my whole job is marketing on a computer. My whole job is based around coding and programming. And that's hard stuff to share with my kids. But I have a 13 and a 12-year-old now too. And like, obviously I have concerns watching them play video games all day. I don't like watching that stuff. But every single time I go to leave the house, my 13-year-old's always like, hey man, can I go with you? Can I go to the store with you? Can I go and help you with this? I know you're going back to the gym and stuff. Can I go to the gym with you? Say yes. Take them. Show them how you do things. Show them how you work out. Show them how like the right stances and stuff to have. And this is stuff that you can learn online. Maybe you don't have these skills yet. Maybe your kids are asking you for these things. Well, go learn how to do it. Or even maybe you're in a situation like I was when I was a teenager and you don't have that masculine figure around. Well, look around. You'll find one. There's going to be somebody somewhere. Strike up a conversation with them. Learn a little more. Take an interest. You'd be surprised what you could learn from older men. And so, like I said, you probably know somebody. Maybe it's your grandfather. Maybe it's an old friend. Maybe it's somebody in your neighborhood. Maybe it's a guy you see in the corner at the gym. Like, go strike up a conversation. Learn a little more. Ask him some questions. Start fostering that connection. It's really important that you have that connection with other men, that you go seek out other men for those things so that you can learn more about what it means to be a man, what it means to have that connection with other men and to learn these skills that you really can't get anywhere else. Like even Jared here, since I started this business with him, he's taught me a ton about masculinity and stuff that I really didn't know before. And I can't even begin to tell you how much it's improved my relationship with my wife, how much it's improved my relationships with my sons. And I really do want to foster that connection with them because I understand that it's an extremely important thing. And like I said, I was a man who didn't have this stuff. I would be, when I was a teenager, considered a weak man, considered a nice guy. And because I just didn't have these tools when I was younger. And I know that a lot of you guys are in this position, and don't think that we're calling you out. We're here to help. And we're here to give you this information that you need. We're here to give you real tools and real concepts and break down these traits for you so that you understand the difference. Because society is going to tell you that masculinity is toxic. A lot of this in the feminine movements and all this stuff too, they're going to tell you that this stuff is toxic, that you should avoid it, that you shouldn't be a man in the traditional sense. But at the end of the day, it's up to you what you do with this stuff, and it's up to you how you handle this stuff. If you want to embrace your feminine side, great, but you really should embrace the masculine side too. Because it's only going to help you.
I agree. And like I said, even if you, we'll wrap it up this way, even we talked a little bit about children, but even if you are a young man and you are kind of caught in this limbo of, I'm 18, 19, 20, fuck, you might even be later. Time is running out. I'm not saying this to scare you, but every day you procrastinate and you continue to do the same thing you're doing, you cannot grow. You're going to do, when you're 30, you're going to be doing the same thing. You have to understand that you're not out of the ether automatically going to be this manly person. You're not automatically going to have these attributes. And rightly so. You might not want them. You might be like, Jared, Chase, I don't give a shit about any of this. I'm fine with my lot in life. Great. You're not the person we want to talk to. We want to talk to the people like, I'm pissed. I don't have a roadmap. I kind of do, but I kind of don't. We want to talk to you and help you get on that right path because it helps all of us. The more masculine, true, divine masculine men that we have out there who are a net benefit to society helps society. It can turn around this sinking ship that's been sinking for like 50 years, basically. We got to turn it around before it's too late. My only fear is it might be too late.
In some cases, it often is. But I mean, really, if you're feeling a calling, you're feeling upset by this stuff, you're feeling called out in any way, and you want some help, and you really want that blueprint, let us know. Just comment below. We have options for you. Like, we don't have these $1,000 programs that you have to take advantage of. And of course, we have personal coaching, and obviously it costs money for that time. But at the end of the day, we have other programs for you. We have free stuff for you. We have this YouTube channel. We have a Facebook group that you can join. And in addition to that, we have a low ticket membership too that you can get into. And right now we actually have a special for that. And so if you really want to get into that low ticket membership and you don't want to have to spend all this money and fork it all over all at once, and you really just want to get in and get a framework and get that support from some of these other men, then let us know. Just comment on this video, say, I'm ready, and we'll reach out to you.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I appreciate everybody watching. This has been a good one. Again, look out for the videos. It's probably about 5 different videos kind of spinning into this topic. A lot of it, again, is porn is a specific one. It's the worst thing you can possibly do in your brain. Touching yourself, whacking off, all of this. We'll get into the videos a little bit more, but all of these things are decreasing your masculinity. All these things are decreasing who you were meant to be. And we want you to be who you're supposed to be, what God created you. And that's a divine, masculine, powerful man. That's what we want. With that, my name is Jared Schoonmaker. Thanks, guys. Have an amazing weekend. If you have any questions, drop them down below. Go to our website, fill out the contact information form, and we can talk and do a one-on-one coaching session, free discovery call if you want to get into that next level.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm here. That's really your opportunity to just feel this out, see if maybe you need a blueprint from us. Maybe you just need a couple questions answered. That's what that call is for. So let us know. Like I said, we have options for everybody. If you want some help, let us know. Hope you guys have a great weekend. We'll see you guys again next week.